This video is how I take stats at a game. We'll be watching one game with 3 Chukkas. Here's the lineup. When the throw in, there'll be a T. So there's a, I forgot to write the T on this one, but then the number 1, orange number 1, snag the ball, so it's S1. You put the S in front, which is snag for the player. All the other numbers that happen, or the other letters that happen, go after the player's number. And then he bounced the ball, so he gets S1B on the orange side. And there we have a G for goal. If he had missed the goal, we'd put a slash after that G, but it's a good goal, gets a G. They'll go back, and when the ball's thrown in, I'll put a T for the throw in, like I should have done the first time. There's a T, the ball's thrown in, and it's picked up by the red number 3. Well, the orange number 1 had a miss, and my video wasn't showing very well, but he missed the ball and did not take an opposing player past the ball with him. But the 3's still got the ball. There she passes it, so it's a P for pass. And the 1, it was I decided it was a catchable pass, so it was a pass completed, a good pass to the 1, and the 1 missed it. Then the ball's picked up by the other team, the orange number 3, who passed to the 2, who passed to the 1, but he missed his pass. And then the red 2 picks it up, passes it to the 1, and the 1 missed it. So the orange 3 picks it up, and the B for a bounce bounces it over the line. And the orange 3 is still carrying the ball. Okay, there's the pass over to her teammate, the number 2. Then he passes it into the number 1, and then the 1, a penalty is called against the 1 for crossing. So when there's a penalty, I put an X, and then in parentheses, in quotations, I put what the penalty was. It was a crossing call. So the red team number 3 is going to be taking the penalty throw. There's a 3. She passes it, but I said it was not a good pass, so there's a slash behind that. But that same 3 then misses a pickup without taking an opposing player by her. The orange number 1 missed a pickup. Then the red number 2 missed the pickup. Then the orange number 2 did pick the ball up and passed it to the number 3, and the 3 passed the ball into the number 1. And then there's another penalty called, a crossing again on the number 1. And then again, the red number 3 will be taking the penalty throw. And she takes the penalty throw and then bounces over the line. She's carrying the ball down the field. And there she passes it over to her number 2, who then passes it back to the number 3. And then the number 3 passes it in to the end zone to the number 1, and I said it was a catchable pass, but the 1 missed it. And then the orange 3 picked it up, bounces out of the end zone. So you have a 3B on the orange side. And then P passes it to the 1, so P1, and then G, he shoots a goal. And that's how that Chukka ended. Here's the next Chukka, starting off with a blank slate. We get a T for the throw in, and the orange player, actually both sets of players that passed it up first caused an opposing player to go past them, so they don't get charged with a missed pickup. But then the number 1 picks it up on the red team, bounces it, and scores a goal. So go back to the lineup again. There's a T for the throw in, and this was just out of bounds, so it's just the letter O is out of bounds, no penalty. Another throw in, and this time it's snagged by the orange 2, and I moved the T and the O and the T over to the other side because everything, whatever is written on that side in that cell, charges that team with a possession. Anyhow, after there's coming up this 30-yard line, the number 1 on the blue team was, or the red team, was charged with interference, and he was not carrying the ball, so his name goes in parenthesis, or his number goes in parenthesis, indicating he did not carry the ball when the penalty was called. And then on the other side, when the penalty is called, I put a little caret and then move up the next line to behind it, so that doesn't charge them with 2 possessions, because that should only count as 1 possession for that team. Okay, now this throw in, the 3 on the orange team picks it up, passes to the 1. The 1 bounces and scores. T for throw in. This time it's snagged by the orange 2, so the S2. And he passes to the 1, so P1, and he scores a goal, G. Okay, so go back to this lineup. There's a T for a throw in, and this one is snagged by the red 3. We have a TS3, just carrying the ball down. And then she passes off to her red number 1, so it's a P1, and he comes up and bounces it. Did not collect his bounce. Oh, he did collect his bounce, sorry. And so he's still got it in the end zone. So the red or the blue 1 still has the ball in the end zone. and then he shoots at a goal, so you put a G on the red or blue side, whatever. Okay, there's a, when they throw it in, we'll put a T down. There's a T for the throw in. Number 3 misses a pickup without taking a opposing team member past the ball. 1 picks the ball up and bounces into the end zone. Recovery is bounced, so there's a slash. When they both ride past it, nobody gets charged with a miss, but this time when the orange player goes down, she does not take the blue player past it, so she gets charged with a miss. But then she picks it up and passes it off to her number 2, and he passes it to the number 1. The number 1 misses the pass, and number 2 misses a pickup. Number 2 misses a pickup. Those other 2 players that passed it up took another opposing player with them. Nothing was charged. Then the red 3 picks it up and passes it off to the red number 1, and the number 1 carries it down the field, bounces it at the 30, and shoots the goal. G. Okay, we have another lineup, and this the throw in just goes out of bounds with no penalty, and so they will line it up again with a letter O, and then the next throw in letter T, and in that one gets hit by somebody, but it's snagged by the red 3, so S3. P1 passes it to the 1 in the end zone. G scores the goal. So they thought about that and discussed it for a while, and then finally decided that it was a missed goal, so that G just needs a slash behind it indicating a missed goal, and then the orange number 3 will start with their number as they take the penalty throw. So as they take the penalty throw, we'll put a 3 on the orange side. So the 3 takes the penalty throw, so we just put a 3 on that side. It has the ball when the Chukka runs out, so that ends that Chukka. So they'll come back to the lineup on a fresh screen, a new Chukka. And there's a throw in. We'll put a T, and the orange number 1 snagged it, S1, and then lost it right away, L, and then it went out of bounds out of his racket, so X, and out. Red 1 takes a penalty throw, passes it off to the red 3, so 1 P3. The 3 carries the ball down the field. And pass to the 1, so that's a P1. And then we have a G shot at the goal. So we go back to the lineup, and we have a T for the throw in, S3 because it's snagged by the number 3, and that goes on the red side. So there we have a P1 and a G. Let's go for another throw in. There's a T for the throw in. This time on the orange side we have a number 3 on the orange side picks it up. So the T3 on the orange side. Then we have a P1. She passes it to the 1 out in midfield. And he comes around B, bounces, G scores the goal. They come to another lineup. There's a T for the throw in, and on the red side, S3, snagged by the 3. So here we have a P1. She passes it to the 1 out of midfield. And as he bounces over the line, I put a little an asterisk there indicating that something happened that I made a note of in the note section. And that could be anything that would be nice to have noted and recorded. A horse getting injured, a person getting injured, some kind of play happening that needs to be noted that they had stopped the game for. In this instance, it was a horse had blood coming out of his nose or something. So when they start it, when there was not a penalty, because there's not a penalty call, and because of a reason other than a penalty, and it's not thrown into both teams, I use the letter R indicating a restart. So this time there'll be R for a restart, and with the number 1 who passes it back to the number 3 who passes it back to the number 1. And then we have a G for the shot at the goal. So they go back for another throw in. There's a T for the throw in. This on the orange side, snagged by the number 2 on the orange side. And then P3, he passes it off to the number 3 in midfield. So 3 passes to the 1, so P1, and then G, he's shot at the goal. Okay, there's a T for throw in from a lineup. Now these first 2 people that passed the ball up took a player with them. The second 2 took, and then it's finally picked up by the red 1. So there wasn't anything marked for those 2 misses, and then put a 1 down for on the red side when he got possession of the ball. He passes it off to number 3, P3. She passes it back to the number 1, P1, and then he scores the goal, G. So another lineup, T for the throw in, and then finally it's picked up on the red side, the 1. He passes it to the 3. 1, P, 3. Then we get a P where she passes it in, but since it could have been interfered by an opposing player, it's a bad pass, so put a slash behind the P. The orange 3 picks it up and bounces it out of the end zone. Push a slash behind it because she did not collect on the bounce. And then the Chukka ends.